Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speak English Easy, the channel where learning English becomes simple and enjoyable. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mike. Hey, Sarah, how's your morning been?
Hi, Mike. It's been wonderful. Thanks for asking. I started my day with some green tea and a good book. How about you?
That sounds peaceful. I had my usual morning jog around the neighborhood. It really helps me wake up and feel energized.
That's fantastic. You know, Mike, today we have something really special planned for our viewers.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving into one of the most practical topics for English learners, talking about daily routines and everyday activities.
This is such an important topic because we use these expressions constantly in real conversations. Whether you're chatting with friends, colleagues, or new people you meet, describing your day is one of the most common things we do.
Exactly right, Sarah. And the best part is, once you master these phrases, you'll feel so much more confident in everyday English conversations.
Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you find this helpful. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss our new videos.
Yes, please do. Your support means the world to us. And today, we have a special treat. We'll be listening to our friend Maria share her daily routine. And then we'll break it down together and share our own experiences too.
It's going to be such a fun and educational journey. Are you ready to improve your English with us?
Let's get started.
Hi there. My name is Maria, and I'd love to share my daily routine with you. I hope it helps you practice your English. I usually wake up at 6:30 in the morning on weekdays. I have to admit I'm not exactly a morning person, but I've gotten used to it over the years. The first thing I do is stretch in bed for about 2 minutes. It really helps me feel more alert. Then I get up and head straight to the bathroom. I splash cold water on my face and brush my teeth. There's something about that cold water that just wakes me up instantly. After that, I comb my hair and get ready for the day. Next, I go to the kitchen and put the kettle on for tea. I'm a big tea drinker, much more than coffee. While I wait for the water to boil, I open the curtains and look outside to check the weather. It helps me decide what to wear for the day. I make myself a nice cup of Earl Grey tea and sit down to enjoy it while I scroll through the news on my tablet. I try to limit this to just 10 minutes because it's easy to get lost in social media. For breakfast, I usually have something light but nutritious. My go-to is oatmeal with fresh berries and a drizzle of honey. Sometimes I'll have Greek yogurt with granola instead. I always eat breakfast because it gives me energy for the whole morning. At 7:45, I get dressed for work. I work in a marketing company, so I like to dress professionally but comfortably. Usually, that means dress pants or a skirt with a nice blouse. I always check myself in the mirror before leaving. You never know who you might meet. I leave my apartment at 8:15 and walk to the subway station. The walk takes about 8 minutes and I actually enjoy it. It's like a mini meditation before the busy day begins. The train ride to my office is roughly 25 minutes, so I usually listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Sometimes I practice English by repeating phrases I hear. I arrive at the office around 9 a.m., just in time for work to officially start. The first thing I do is turn on my computer and check my calendar for the day. Then I go through my emails. There are always quite a few waiting for me. My morning is usually filled with project work. I spend a lot of time creating presentations, writing reports, and communicating with clients via email or phone calls. Around 10:30, I take a short coffee break with my teammates. We chat about our projects or sometimes just life in general. Lunchtime is at 1 p.m. I either bring a homemade lunch, usually leftovers from dinner the night before, or I go to a nearby cafe with colleagues. I really value this break because it helps me recharge for the afternoon. The afternoon is often when I have my meetings. We discuss new campaigns, review project progress, or brainstorm creative ideas. Some days are busier than others, but I generally enjoy the variety in my work. My workday ends at 5:30 p.m. I pack up my things, say goodbye to my coworkers, and head back to the subway station. The evening commute can be a bit more crowded, but I use this time to unwind by listening to music or calling a friend or family member. I usually get home around 6:15 p.m. The first thing I do is change into comfortable clothes, usually yoga pants and a soft sweater. Then I like to sit down for a few minutes and just relax. Sometimes I'll make another cup of tea and catch up on messages from friends. Around 7 p.m., I start preparing dinner. I enjoy cooking, so I often try new recipes I find online. My favorites are pasta dishes, stir-fries, and anything with lots of vegetables. Cooking is actually quite therapeutic for me. It's a creative outlet after a day of analytical work. After dinner, I clean up the kitchen and do the dishes. I know it's not the most exciting part of the day, but I like having a clean space. In the evening, I might video call my family, read a book, or watch a series on Netflix. Sometimes I'll do a yoga session or go for a walk around my neighborhood if the weather is nice. I try to avoid too much screen time before bed because it helps me sleep better. Before going to bed, I take a warm shower and do my skincare routine. I also like to write 3 things I'm grateful for in a small journal. It's a nice way to end the day on a positive note. I usually go to bed around 10:45 p.m. and aim to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. On weekends, of course, everything is much more relaxed and flexible. That's my typical weekday routine. Thanks for listening.
Wow, thank you so much, Maria. That was such a detailed and helpful description of her day.
I really appreciated how clearly she explained everything. Did you notice how she used specific times throughout her story? Like 6:30 in the morning and 7:45? That's really helpful for learners.
Absolutely. And I loved how honest she was, too. She said, I have to admit, I'm not exactly a morning person. That kind of honesty makes her story feel so real and relatable.
Yes, and she used so many useful daily routine verbs. Let me think. She mentioned wake up, get up, head to, splash water, brush teeth, comb hair.
Great examples, Mike. And don't forget, put the kettle on, open the curtains, scroll through the news. These are exactly the kinds of phrases our viewers need to know for everyday conversations.
I also noticed she talked about her morning ritual with tea. She said, I'm a big tea drinker, much more than coffee. That's a nice way to express a preference.
That's such a good point. And speaking of preferences, she also mentioned her breakfast choices. She said her go-to is oatmeal with berries. Go-to is such a useful expression, meaning your usual choice or favorite option.
Exactly. And then she talked about getting dressed. She mentioned dressing professionally but comfortably for her marketing job. That's a great way to describe work attire.
I found her commute description really interesting too. She walks to the subway station and said, "It's like a mini meditation. What a lovely way to describe a peaceful walk."
And during her train ride, she practices English by repeating phrases from podcasts. That's actually fantastic advice for our viewers.
Such a smart idea. Now, when she gets to work, she mentioned checking her calendar and going through emails. These are such common work activities that everyone should know how to talk about.
And her morning coffee break with teammates. That's so typical in many workplaces. She said they chat about projects or sometimes just life in general.
The lunch part was interesting too. She either brings leftovers or goes to a cafe with colleagues. I like how she said she values this break because it helps her recharge. Those are really useful words, to value something and to recharge.
And then her afternoon meetings for brainstorming and project reviews. She mentioned that some days are busier than others, but she enjoys the variety. That's such a realistic way to describe work life.
Her evening routine sounds so relaxing. Changing into comfortable clothes, making tea, catching up on messages. And I love that she finds cooking therapeutic. That's a beautiful way to express how cooking makes her feel.
The part about avoiding screen time before bed was smart, too. She said it helps her sleep better. That's great advice and useful vocabulary for talking about healthy habits.
And ending the day by writing 3 things she's grateful for. What a positive habit! She called it a nice way to end the day on a positive note.
So many practical phrases and such a realistic routine. Now, Sarah, I'm curious. How does Maria's routine compare to yours?
That's a great question, Mike. Well, like Maria, I'm also not naturally a morning person, but I've learned to appreciate early mornings. I usually wake up around 6:45 a.m., so just a bit later than Maria.
And do you have a morning routine similar to hers?
Somewhat. I also start with the bathroom routine, washing my face and brushing my teeth. But instead of tea, I'm definitely a coffee person. I make a French press coffee every morning, and I really savor those first few sips.
Coffee is essential for many of us. What about breakfast?
My breakfast is usually simpler than Maria's. I often have toast with avocado and a boiled egg, or sometimes just cereal with fruit. I'm not as creative with breakfast as she is with her oatmeal combinations.
That sounds delicious, though. And how do you get to work?
Well, that's quite different from Maria. I actually work from home most days for our channel, so my commute is just walking from my bedroom to my home office. But when I do need to go out for meetings or filming, I usually drive.
That's convenient. What about your work routine?
Like Maria, I always start by checking emails and my calendar. But my work is quite different. I spend a lot of time writing scripts like this one, researching English learning topics, and of course, filming videos with you.
And lunch?
I'm terrible at remembering to eat lunch on time. Maria is much better at taking that 1 p.m. break. I often get so focused on work that I suddenly realize it's 2:30 and I haven't eaten. I usually keep simple things like soup or salad ready.
We should learn from Maria's good habits. What about your evenings?
I love that Maria cooks creative dinners. I do enjoy cooking, but I tend to stick to simpler recipes during the week. I might make a stir-fry or pasta dish, similar to what she mentioned. And like her, I find cooking quite relaxing after a day of mental work.
Do you have evening routines like hers?
I do. I also like to change into comfortable clothes as soon as I'm done with work. And I've started doing something similar to Maria's gratitude journal. I write down thoughts about my day, which helps me process everything that happened.
That's wonderful. What about bedtime?
I try to go to bed around 10:30, similar to Maria. I also avoid screens before bed, though I'll admit I'm not always successful at that. I prefer reading a physical book rather than using my phone or tablet.
Those are great comparisons, Sarah. Now let me share a bit about my routine. I'm actually quite different from both you and Maria in some ways.
Oh, tell us about it.
Well, first of all, I'm naturally an early riser. I wake up at 5:45 a.m. every day, even on weekends. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I love having quiet time in the morning.
Wow, that is early. What do you do with all that extra time?
The first thing I do is drink a large glass of water. I read that it's good for hydration after sleeping. Then I go for that jog I mentioned earlier. I run for about 30 minutes around my neighborhood. It's peaceful because hardly anyone else is awake.
I admire your dedication. What about breakfast?
After my run and shower, I make a protein smoothie with banana, berries, and protein powder. It's quick and gives me energy for the day. I'm not much of a cook in the mornings. I save my cooking energy for dinner.
And your work routine?
Since I also work from home like you, my commute is short. But I have a different approach. I like to review my tasks for the day while I drink my coffee. I use a physical planner, not just digital calendars. There's something about writing things down that helps me remember better.
That's interesting. Maria mentioned she checks her calendar digitally. Different approaches work for different people.
Exactly. For lunch, I'm more like Maria. I try to take a proper break at a consistent time, usually around 12:30. I often make a big salad or heat up leftovers from the previous night's dinner.
And evenings?
This is where I'm very different from Maria. Instead of cooking elaborate dinners, I do most of my cooking on weekends and then eat leftovers during the week. It saves me time during busy weekdays.
That's smart meal planning.
In the evenings, I like to call my parents or friends, similar to what Maria mentioned. But instead of Netflix, I prefer listening to music or playing guitar. It's my way of unwinding creatively.
I love that you play guitar. What about your bedtime routine?
I'm usually in bed by 10 p.m. since I wake up so early. Like Maria, I take a shower before bed, but I also do some light stretching or meditation. It helps me transition from the active day to restful sleep.
These are such great examples of how everyone's routine can be different while still having similar basic structure.
Sarah, I think this is a perfect time to highlight some of the most useful vocabulary and phrases we've heard today. Our viewers can really benefit from learning these expressions.
Absolutely. Let's start with wake up and morning phrases. We heard wake up, get up, and head to the bathroom. These are essential for describing your morning.
Right. And don't forget, splash water on my face, brush my teeth, and comb my hair. These are basic self-care activities that everyone does, but might not know how to express in English.
Great point. For breakfast and morning beverages, we learned put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and I'm a big tea drinker. Also, my go-to is which means your usual choice.
And for getting ready, get dressed. Dress professionally. Check myself in the mirror. These are so practical for everyday conversation.
Transportation phrases were really useful too. Walk to the subway station. The train ride is about 25 minutes. And I arrive at the office around.
Yes, and work-related expressions. Turn on my computer. Check my calendar. Go through emails. Take a coffee break. Chat with teammates.
The lunch vocabulary was helpful. Bring a homemade lunch. Leftovers from dinner. Go to a nearby cafe. Recharge for the afternoon.
Evening routines gave us change into comfortable clothes, unwind, catch up on messages, start preparing dinner, do the dishes.
And relaxation activities. Video call my family. Watch a series. Go for a walk. Avoid screen time. Wind down.
Bedtime phrases, take a warm shower, skincare routine, write in a journal, end the day on a positive note. Aim to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Now let's talk about some really useful time expressions we heard throughout the story.
Exactly. Maria used specific times like 6:30 in the morning, at 7:45, around 9 a.m., at 1 p.m., around 6:15 p.m.
And sequence words. First, then, next. After that, later, before going to bed. These help organize your story and make it flow naturally.
Don't forget frequency expressions. Usually, always, sometimes, often, never. These show how regularly you do something.
And phrases for expressing preferences. I am much more of a I prefer. My favorite is I really value. I enjoy.
Great summary. These vocabulary items and phrases are like building blocks. Once you know them, you can create your own daily routine descriptions.
Exactly. And remember, you don't need to use every single phrase. Pick the ones that match your actual routine and personality. Mike, I think it would be really valuable for our viewers to hear Maria's story one more time. Now that we've discussed all the vocabulary and phrases, they can listen with a deeper understanding.
That's an excellent idea, Sarah. This time, try to notice all the expressions we just talked about. Listen for the time phrases, the sequence words, and the daily routine vocabulary.
And don't worry if you don't catch everything. That's completely normal. The more you listen to English, the more you'll understand.
Ready, everyone? Let's listen to Maria's daily routine again.
That was fantastic. Thank you again, Maria, for sharing such a detailed and helpful daily routine with us.
Yes, thank you, Maria. And thank you to everyone who joined us for today's episode. We hope you learned lots of useful vocabulary and phrases.
You know what, Mike? I'm really curious about our viewers' daily routines. Everyone's day is different, and that's what makes it interesting.
That's such a great point. So here's what we want you to do. In the comments below, tell us about one part of your daily routine. It could be your morning coffee ritual, your commute to work, your evening relaxation time. Anything.
Yes! And try to use some of the vocabulary we learned today. For example, you could write, my go-to breakfast is, or I usually unwind by, or after work, I like to.
Don't worry about making it perfect. The important thing is to practice using these new expressions. We read every single comment. and we love hearing from you.
And if you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps other English learners find our content.
Absolutely! And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We post new videos every week with practical English lessons just like this one.
We have so many exciting topics planned. How to talk about hobbies, describing your family, discussing your job, talking about travel experiences.
Yes. And if there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. We love getting suggestions from our community.
Before we go, let's remember something important. Everyone's routine is valid and interesting. Whether you're a student, a working professional, a parent, or retired, your daily life matters, and learning to describe it in English is a valuable skill.
Exactly. And remember, the goal isn't to have a perfect routine like in movies. Real life is messy sometimes, and that's okay. The goal is to be able to talk about your real life in English.
So keep practicing, keep watching, and most importantly, keep enjoying your English learning journey.
From all of us here at Speak English Easy, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Keep speaking English easy, everyone. Bye.
Bye!